From Shea Stadium in Flushing, New York, Sportschannel presents Mets Baseball. Today, the Mets take on the Houston Astros. The starting pitchers for the game. For the Astros, strikeout king Nolan Ryan with a record of 4-6, an earned run average of 4.70. And for the Mets, sensational Dwight Gooden with a record of 9-3, an earned run average of 2.70. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Fran Healy and also Tim McCarver, all set for the second game of this series, a four-game series. Last night, one of the most thrilling ball games the Mets have had when they won it with 2 home runs in the 10th inning, winning by a score of 6-5. And here tonight, a matchup, I should say today, a matchup with Dwight Gooden and Nolan Ryan, 2 of the most outstanding pitchers in the National League. Ryan, of course, the all-time strikeout king, and he still throws the ball somewhere around 96 miles an hour. And going against him, the youngster Dwight Gooden. And Dwight Gooden has done things at his early age that no pitcher has done in the history of baseball on the plus side. So, Fran Healy, should be a flamethrower's delight.
It really should be. Of course, it's hot enough out here as it is. And as you mentioned, Ralph, Nolan Ryan and Dwight Gooden both getting the ball up there 90-plus miles per hour. Nolan Ryan is amazing. He's about 37 years old and continues to overpower major league batters and will for years to come. Of course, it's interesting looking at both ball clubs. The Mets with a comfortable 12.5 game lead over the Montreal Expos, and the Houston Astros fighting to stay in the race, a half game behind the San Francisco Giants in the West.
And we'll be back for the start of this ball game, and it'll be a beauty right after this commercial message.
In 1985, Gary Carter was an offensive powerhouse, smashing 32 homers and racking up 100 RBIs. What does Gary see for the '86 season?
Going into this season and coming off of last year, I know that I can't afford another knee surgery. Dr. Parks assures me that from time to time you'll feel some discomfort and all in it, but not to get too discouraged on it and just go out there and do the best you can.
Get to know Gary Carter on Sportschannel.
Nolan Ryan on the mound with a record of 4-6, an earned run average of 4.70. Nolan has worked 76 2/3 innings. He has given up 68 hits, 71 strikeouts, 38 walks. And he has struck out more batters than any pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball.
I'll verify that. Here's the lineup he's going to face. Len Dykstra, Wally Backman, and Keith Hernandez. Cleanup hitter Darryl Strawberry. Number 5, Gary Carter. Then Danny Heap. Howard Johnson to follow Heap, then Santana, and then Dwight Gooden.
And the defense, Davis, Doran, Reynolds, and Walling first to third. Cruz, Gainey, and Bass in the outfield left to right. Mizarok is the catcher, and the leadoff batter for the Mets will be Len Dykstra. Dykstra hitting .306, 2 home runs, 17 RBIs. Len 4 for 9, hitting .444 in his hitting against the Houston ball club. And Ryan's first pitch, a fastball for ball 1. Dykstra playing center field tonight, alternating with Mookie Wilson, and Mookie having a fine year, hitting .288. And Dykstra goes after a pitch out of the strike zone, fouls it into the dugout. Rick Aguilera enjoying a little repast there.
Sunflower seeds as he relaxes and watches the ball game. By the way, Nolan Ryan's control at times has been a positive thing for him. He's just wild enough to make the hitter uncomfortable at the plate.
He has also walked more batters than anybody in the history of Major League Baseball, and there's a breaking ball hit foul into the stands at count 1 and 2.
Excellent point, Ralph. And on the other hand, I think his control has hurt him, as you mentioned, those walks.
What is that?
It's a frightening sight.
Not the walks. The picture there. Ryan has walked 2,221 batters in his Major League career, and he has struck out 4,154.
And another thing that might have hurt Nolan, did hurt Nolan along the way, is his inability to keep runners close to first.
This one hit down the right field line. If it's fair, it's extra bases. Fair ball. So Len Dykstra continues to pound the ball as he leads off with a double.
Trying to capture the center field position for the Mets. He's captured the hearts of the fans here at Shea. You don't see this very often when Nolan has an overpowering stuff. A ball pulled right down the line, especially a pitch out over the plate. It's usually a struggle to pick up doubles off Nolan Ryan, but right there, Len Dykstra just ripping that ball down the right field line.
So the Mets have a runner in scoring position with no one out. And Wally Backman, the batter. Backman tearing it up, hitting .352 with no home runs, 10 RBIs.
By the way, Dykstra, his 11th double of the season.
Backman in his last 3 games as a starter, 3 hits, and 2 hits. Over his last 18 games, he's batting .415. And he moves out as though to bunt, takes it for ball 1.
The Mets playing this year as if their talents were insulted last year. Getting the job done as you take a look at that defense. Mets getting great production from almost all their players, catching some breaks along the way. You need them.
Type of year you need, and the type of year you can win. And that ball grounded to second, a good out for Backman, if there's such a thing, as he moves the runner over to third.
You're absolutely right, Ralph. Wally Backman doing the job, getting the runner over to third base, something you don't see in the box score, advancing a runner and giving yourself up.
Anytime you can gain 90 feet on an out, you're going ahead of the game.
Now, you were a general manager. Would you keep that in your mind when you were negotiating a contract?
Absolutely, because those players are winning players.
You were probably the type of guy to cut everybody.
Not really. I once gave a raise to a ball player as a general manager unsolicited. He didn't even ask for it. He was doing such a good job. I called him in and said, you need more money. You're playing better than that.
That was spoken like a player when you did that.
That's right. Here's Keith Hernandez, a fine player, and he takes the curveball for strike 1. Keith this year against the Astros batting .333, 4 hits and 12 at-bats. And overall, Keith in a batting slump, hit down around .220 for the month of June, and his average at .294 with 5 home runs and 33 RBIs. Infield is in this early in the game, and it goes through that, drawing him infield for a base hit.
Well, the Astros got to believe they're not going to score many runs against Dwight Gooden. Halanier had the infield drawn in, and the ball hits right up the middle off the bat of Keith Hernandez. Here it is again, right back up the middle, base hit. Run scores. It's 1-0 Mets as Len Dykstra comes on to score. Great basic baseball, fundamental baseball. Dykstra doubles, Backman gets him over. Hernandez gets the base hit. It's 1-0.
And it brings up Darryl Strawberry, hitting .299 now with 12 home runs, 44 RBIs. Darryl with 2 big home runs in last night's ball game. Had his 11th multiple home run game last night when he had 2. And he takes the breaking ball for ball 1.
He's had 2 of those multiple home run nights this year.
With a 2-run home run to tie it, and then a 2-home run to tie it in the 10th inning. And that was followed by Ray Knight's home run that won it. After Ray Knight had struck out his first 4 times up, he wins the ball game with a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning.
This could be the year for the Mets when that happens. Usually when you strike out 4 times in a game, they're going to get you the 5th time.
Strawberry hitting .448 over that span. And it's missed, and the count at 1-2.
You know, Ralph, we've heard so many times that Darryl Strawberry would remind you of Ted Williams. The guy Darryl Strawberry reminds me of when he swings a bat is Willie McCovey. He has that long swing.
He doesn't have a Ted Williams swing.
No.
Ted Williams had a more compact swing and actually a better swing than Darryl Strawberry.
This is more of a sweep swing, something similar to Willie McCovey, of course, who is going into the Hall of Fame this year.
No, you don't knock the swing because it's a good one. There goes the runner, and the ball has popped up. Coming over is Walling, looking for it, fighting that sun, and it goes out of play. Talking about Ted Williams' swing, one of the greatest swings, if not the greatest swing in the history of the game of baseball. Maybe only Babe Ruth with a better one.
Here's that swing. Take a look. That sweeping swing. Kicks that leg back and drives into the ball. One of the reasons Darryl can go into that slump. There's that sweeping swing. When he has that long stride, you can go into a slump. You really have to be in a groove to have that long stride.
Right there, you can see why he fouled the ball off. That front leg has buckled, and that has kept him from getting up to the ball, and he was behind it and fouled it off to the left side. Front leg should be straight at contact.
And when you hit the ball, that front leg being straight at contact, that front leg is already on the ground.
Planted, and you hit against it, which is something that not many people really understand.
It's a step and then a swing.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And the breaking ball, good play by the catcher.
I think usually those guys with a long stride, there's more room for error if you tend to go into a slump. But also, when you have that long stride, that gliding stride, when you're in the groove, it's almost like a streak.
You can also hit it farther that way.
Those guys at the short stride are more difficult to fool as you look at Keith Hernandez.
And Strawberry fooled in that pitch, and he is struck out.
Darryl doesn't give in at all to the pitcher. I think as he gets a little older and he plays with guys like Hernandez and Carter and those veterans, he will give in, maybe take a shorter stride with 2 strikes. There's a bad ball. Darryl committed himself and went through. There's that kick. And we're talking about a guy who had 2 mammoth home runs last night. So you take the good with the bad because you're going to get a lot more good than you will bad.
And now the batter is Gary Carter, hitting .244 with 13 home runs. Second in runs batted in with 56. Second in the National League, and there's ball 1.
Now, if you take a look at Carter's stride, he takes a lot shorter stride than Darryl Strawberry. Last year in '85, he was the 7th most difficult batter to strike out in the National League.
Carter 1 RBI behind Mike Schmidt, who leads the National League with 57. That's leading 1-0. And there's a swing and a miss, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Here's the side angle of Gary Carter taking a stride. See that stride right there? Although he took a little longer than the first time, but he has the great head. He keeps that head right on the ball.
Hitting is a compromise. You have to cut down on stride for contact, and by doing so, you lose some power. So you got to adjust back and forth to find out what's best for you. And this ball hit high in the air in foul territory, and it'll be out of play.
You know, you look at a guy like Gary Carter swing the bat, or another guy that comes to mind, Steve Garvey. When they swing, the head goes down because they're right on the ball. Let's see if he does it right here. The head goes down.
Well, that's a good swing right there. He's behind the pitch.
Excellent shot right there for the illustration, and the front leg, stiff front leg, short stride, the head going down.
Weight off the back heel. Picture perfect swing, but even though the swing is perfect, the result is not perfect.
So, I mean, you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, but this guy here, he's a good hitter, good fundamentals.
Difference between golf and baseball. Golf, you can make a perfect swing and hit it perfectly because you're not having to judge what's happening to the ball.
Ball just sitting there.
That's right.
And you're facing a guy like Ryan who's getting it up there 90 miles per hour, plus a good curveball, plus he's wild enough where you say, well, I've got to make sure this guy's throwing the ball over the plate.
And you got to do all that in less than 2/5 of a second with Nolan Ryan pitching. 1-2 the count to Carter, and now it's 2-2.
You know, it's interesting. Also, when you get to the plate and you're standing there, that's exactly what it is. It's a comfortable stance, and then when you try to hit, you have to get your hands back in a hitting position. And Ralph, I was watching old footage the other day of days gone by that you could relate to, and those hitters, instead of the preparatory hitch going back, it went down.
That's true.
Down and then up.
Just so you get it back up again. You can go down with your hands, come back up, and that's a good way to hit. Babe Ruth did that. And there's a swing and a miss as Ryan strikes out 2 in the inning, but he gives up 1 run on 2 hits and leaves 1. And the score at the end of 1, the Mets 1 and Houston nothing. I'd like to remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Mets and Sports Channel is prohibited. Announcers on this telecast were selected by Sports Channel and approved by the Mets.
Ralph, we're going to see some guy swinging the bats right after this guy here.
And Kevin Bass having a great month of June, hitting .309 for the year with 11 home runs and 29 RBIs. He was the player of the month in the National League for the month of June. And Bass hits one into right center. It'll drop in. Coming over is Dykstra to field it, and Bass continues to hit.
We're going to take a look at Strawberry now swinging the bat. There's his swing, a long swing.
Number 25.
He's young, he's strong, he has that long stride, long swing, and as we mentioned last night, he had 2 home runs. Now here's Hernandez, look at that. A shorter stride, and he's right on the ball.
And a better position with his back knee.
And the same thing with Gary Carter.
And a good position, outstanding position for Carter with that back knee. That's really shifting your weight into the ball.
And of course, Carter and Hernandez with a shorter stroke and shorter strides than Strawberry.
And a throw to first base, and Bass back in there. Bass with 12 stolen bases, so he has to be watched. The leader on the club is Doran with 26. Houston with 83 stolen bases. They've been successful 69% of the time. And another one to first. And the Mets, on the other side of that coin, have only thrown out 20% of the base runners trying to steal.
I really and truly think they're going to have to let the pitchers cheat again. At least give them a shot. Give the catcher a shot at throwing them out. Easiest thing, well, one of the easiest things to do in baseball is to steal a base.
Look at the average percent of success, you're looking at around 70% of the time.
So it's relatively easy.
So you're ahead of the game.
And you know, they blame it on the pitcher 99% of the time, but they really shouldn't, because you know, when you throw the ball as a catcher, you know that a lot of times you don't make the perfect throw and a guy steals a base on the catcher.
Well, look at that stat. 30 home runs on the road and 1 at home in 2 years.
Think he's psyched out in the Astrodome?
In 3 years, actually, counting this year.
I think a lot of hitters get psyched out, although they've brought the fences in a little bit in the Astrodome. This guy here has been a .288 lifetime major league hitter.
251 this year.
Another underrated player. Of course, in Houston, they just don't get the publicity other players get. If you're going to play baseball, you're better off playing in New York, Chicago, L.A., but you better have good years, because those towns can also bury you.
It works 2 ways, doesn't it?
Yes.
Cruz has not had a home run this year. And it's a fastball. Dwight Gooden working here in the second inning with no one out. A runner on first base. The Mets leading 1-0. The Mets in games when they have scored first have a record going of 38 wins and 9 losses. Of course, their overall record better than that. Got him. So Kevin Bass picked off at first base.
Well, hell, and you're not worried about it. Here it is again. Kevin Bass. Oh, he's caught. Nice pickoff by Dwight Gooden, and they nailed Kevin Bass. A lot of times a base stealer will guess that the pitcher's going home and try to get a bigger jump, and when you guess wrong, you can be embarrassed.
And a good job on the rundown play as Keith Hernandez closed the distance between the runner, which is the way you want to do it, so you can get right to him. You follow that runner down as he's going away from you.
And get the ball to the base he's advancing to in a hurry, and have, in that case, Santana run the runner back towards first base, and then you say, now he gives you the ball and you tag.
And a strikeout as Jose Cruz goes after the high fastball.
Here it is again, Dwight Gooden throwing that heater by Jose Cruz. You've heard it so many times, you've got to get the good pitchers early, and in this case, 2 good pitchers, Nolan Ryan and Dwight Gooden. There's Jose Cruz.
That'll bring up Craig Reynolds. Reynolds hitting .275 with 3 home runs, 22 runs batted in.
Well, he's done a fine job for the Astros over the years. He's been on the All-Star team in the American League and the National League.
Not many have done that. And the breaking ball for ball 1. He has played 4 positions this season. Of course, Kevin Mitchell has played 6 positions, excuse me, this season. and has started at 5 different positions. 2 balls, no strikes to Craig Reynolds as you look at Mr. Mitchell. Played in last night's ball game. This ball chopped out to Hernandez. Gooden covering at first base, and that'll do it. No runs, 1 hit, a man picked off, no one left on base. The score at the end of 1.5. It's the Mets 1 and Houston nothing. Well, we're going to the bottom half of the second. The Mets leading 1-0. The Mets scoring in the first inning off Nolan Ryan. Ryan has had 54 career shutouts in his major league career, 1 short of Steve Carlton, who has just signed a contract with the San Francisco Giants. So Carlton back in the National League. And the Giants a half game in front of the Houston Astros, and they say that Carlton might start that ball game Monday for the Giants. Giants with a 43-36 record, best record in baseball, right here at Shea Stadium, 53-21. Unbelievable pace. Pace of 7:16 as Danny Heap steps in. Danny with his birthday yesterday, 29 years of age, starting here in this ball game today. Danny, a left-hand batter with Foster not playing, and the curveball by Ryan for ball 1. The catcher, John Miserock, is a defensive catcher. The Astro pitchers like to pitch to him. They did not like to pitch to a kid named Mark Bailey, who's now in the minor leagues. And the breaking ball. And the count 2 balls, no strikes. So those pitchers can make or break you as a catcher. Mark Bailey last year had a fine year for the Astros, and now he's back in the minor leagues. And the fastball fouled back out of play. They say Bailey's offense was not good and it affected his defense. There you see Nolan Ryan, dating back to '69, struck out 3 of the 10 batters he faced. And that's where the world's champions. They used him in relief. And the off-speed pitch, and Ryan now throwing some change-ups. And I'm not sure whether he uses that split finger or not, but he very well could. He had a change-up when he pitched for the California Angels. The only thing, it was about 89 miles an hour. Those are the breaking ball and the count 3-2. Ryan came to the Mets in 1968. The most games he ever won for the Mets was a total of 10. He was not a winning pitcher as a Met, and then was traded to the California Angels. His first year with the Angels, he won 19. This ball foul. I think he frustrated Gil Hodges with his lack of control and the pitching coach. And one theory I heard was Gil Hodges felt that he would never get control of his pitches, and Gil played with Rex Barney with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he had trouble, and he kind of put the 2 in the same category, therefore allowed that trade for Jim Fregosi. They said about Rex Barney, if the strike zone had been high and outside, he would have been in the Hall of Fame. I hit against Rex Barney, the hardest pitcher, fastest throwing pitcher ever hit against. And there's a ground ball to the shortstop. Tough play for Reynolds, and he cannot make it as Danny Heap is safe. So here it is again. Danny Heap hitting on top of that ball. Good movement on it. And Craig Reynolds comes in, ball stays down and comes out of the glove. So a base hit for Danny Heap. That puts a runner at first base with no one out and brings up Howard Johnson. Johnson hitting .253, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. Johnson 1 for 6 against Houston this year. And a throw to first base. I mentioned before, one of the problems that Nolan has had throughout his career is guys stealing bases when he's pitching. Not easy to get on, but when you get on, they take advantage of the opportunity to steal the base. And he comes back and misses. 1 ball, no strikes. Davey Johnson, the manager of the Mets, sitting on a 53-21 record, 32 games over 500. Mets in first place by 12.5 games, their biggest margin this year or ever. And the breaking ball in there, called strike.
Usually when you hit against a guy like Nolan Ryan, you have to sit on that fastball. I saw a guy, Carl Taylor, he might have spent some time with the Mets. He was in Kansas City, and he swung 3 times very late at Nolan Ryan. Somebody said, what happened? He said, I was guessing breaking ball. Can you believe it?
He doesn't deserve to be in a baseball uniform, thinking that way. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And the off-speed pitch again. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Never forget that. We were confused.
Ryan, of course, one of the greatest strikeout pitchers of all time, if not the greatest. Holds the all-time record. 4,156 strikeouts.
I get hit by him. That's quite an experience.
The take for the bruise to go away.
Oh, wow. And Ralph, he hit me on the run. I was heading towards the backstop when it got me.
3-1, the count to Howard Johnson.
It hurts even more because you know he goes, ugh, when he throws the ball.
Ryan has struck out 15 or more batters 21 times in his major league career. An unbelievable record. And a check swing gets by the catcher. It's ball 4, I guess.
You don't need balls to move like this. Watch Mizrak try to catch this ball. He almost used the glove as to slap the ball to the ground. Watch this. Oh, I'll tell you. It's tough to handle a guy like Nolan Ryan.
So runners at first and second, and we're not really sure whether that was a strikeout and he got first. No, it couldn't have been.
No, because Nolan Ryan wanted home plate umpire Ed Montague to appeal to Lee Wire.
Yeah, there's no way he can be on first base if it were a strikeout because first base were occupied. So it is a walk. And the fastball to Santana for ball 1. Raphael hitting at 167, no home runs, 9 RBIs.
Here's Howard. Looked like he went around, but it was a call to ball.
And Santana pulls it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike to Raphael. Nolan Ryan with the all-time strikeout record for a single season. Struck out 382 batters. And the curveball.
Here's the reaction where he appeals. He wants that appeal to Lee Wire. Lee Wire said he did not go around and it was ball 4.
So Ryan loses that one, although he has won 245 major league decisions against 224 losses.
Do you think with his stuff there'd be a wider margin there? That control has hurt him. Well, he's awesome when you're batting.
And the fastball foul back out of play.
I faced him in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. 1967, he struck out 19 batters in that ball game. I was 5 of them.
Jim Murray, the great writer for the Los Angeles Times, said Ryan with his 5 no-hitters, 9 one-hitters, over 4,000 strikeouts and 54 shutouts, and an overall record of 245 and 224 is like someone shooting 11 birdies in a round of golf and ending up with a 91.
No, that's amazing, really. When you face this guy, you wonder why he doesn't win 30. He threw a no-hitter against the Kansas City Royals when I was with him. I'll tell you, he would throw, if he didn't throw a no-hitter, he'd throw a 1 or 2 hitter. It was a bad day for him if we got more than 2 hits off him.
And he was drafted in the 8th round of the 1965 draft by the Mets, something like the 365th player drafted that year.
Yeah, that's amazing. Somebody missed their scouting assignment that year.
And the fastball fouled to the right side.
I guess the hardest thrower was a little guy with the Baltimore Orioles farm system.
Grabowski. Is that his name?
Well, that wasn't it. You're close, though. He was from Hartford, Connecticut, in that area. Oh, he had everybody scared to death. I remember when Major League teams went down to play him in the minor leagues, the regulars would not play against this guy. He threw so hard.
Now, I have heard that he threw the ball 120 miles an hour. Now, that's 20 miles an hour faster than anybody's ever been clocked. They said they tried to clock him, but he was so wild he couldn't throw it in the clocking device. Ground ball to the second baseman, Duran. They try for two, and they get it. So Santana grounds into a double play.
And Danny Heath going to third base. Big double play right here. Ball getting in on Santana. Ground ball. Second base scored 4-6-3. So a pitcher's delight. What was that guy's name?
I'll think of it in a minute.
He threw almost as hard as Sid Finch.
Well, that was well worked on. Now it's Dwight Gooden's turn, and the first pitch for ball one. Dalkowski was his name.
That's right, Dalkowski. He was only about 5'8".
5'8", a left-handed pitcher, wore glasses. And the great story about him was told to me by Jim Fry. There's a strike call, 1-1. He had never seen him pitch in the minors, and Jim Fry was playing in the minors, was a fine hitter. And they brought him in from the bullpen, and when he came in to warm up, the entire grandstand behind home plate moved away. He had been throwing balls over the catcher's head into the grandstand, through the screen.
Well, I heard that Major League teams, there's Yogi Berra, he'd have stepped in there. I heard Major League teams would go down and play their minor league team, and if he was going to pitch, nobody wanted to play.
Dalkowski, and he belonged to the Baltimore Orioles.
Was it Bruce Dalkowski?
Steve, I believe.
Steve Dalkowski.
2 balls, 1 strike to Gooden, and he has an idea about bunting for a base hit to get the runner in.
Sport Magazine did an article on Steve Dalkowski a few years ago. I guess he's fallen on hard times.
Unfortunately, he has. Had a drinking problem, which he could not resolve.
Probably because of all that ability, he couldn't deal with it not getting into major leagues.
And Dwight hits it down the right field side. It's curving foul, and it is out of play.
You know, you think of a situation like Dalkowski, you think of Sandy Koufax. When he first came up, he was awfully wild. And Larry Sherry, or Norm Sherry. Norm Sherry convinced him to take a little bit off that fastball, and he started to get control, and of course, he's now in the Hall of Fame. When you're speaking of speed, all you have to do is look at your monitor and see Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan broke Sandy Koufax's strikeout record when he struck out his 382nd batter in the season. Sandy had struck out 381.
Nolan Ryan was clocked the fastest ever, but 104 miles per hour.
And the fastball foul back.
Bob Feller, as you mentioned on a different cable cast, Ralph said that he wasn't timed correctly.
Yeah, he said he threw the ball as hard, and I wouldn't doubt it. But that when he was clocked, they clocked him at home plate. In other words, the speed of the ball diminishing from the friction of the air when it gets to home plate. Or if you're clocked when you release the ball, you're much faster at that point before the friction takes over. And now the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
In the minor leagues, you see a lot of hard throwers. In fact, a lot of them don't get to the major leagues, whether it's control trouble or they run into arm trouble. But you see some guys that can really get the ball up there, plus those bad lights. If you're a good hitter, it's easier to hit in the major leagues. Better conditions.
3-2 the count. And it's grounded off of Dwight's foot for a foul ball. Here is a stat on Dalkowski, Steve Dalkowski. He never pitched 1 inning in the major leagues. In 995 innings in the minor leagues, he struck out 1,396 batters and walked 1,354.
Wow, that's a lot of pitches.
Steve Dalkowski, he once pitched a one-hit game, struck out 21. That was back in 1959, and lost it 9-8. They say blind people would go to the ballpark just to hear him pitch. Here's a 3-2 pitch. And ball 4. So Gooden outlasts Nolan Ryan as he draws a walk, putting runners at first and third with 2 men out and bringing up Len Dykstra.
So if Nolan was hurt throughout his career, it would be in a situation like this where he lost the pitcher, and now he'll face Len Dykstra, who doubled sharply off him in the first inning to lead off the game for the Mets, or to lead off the bottom of the first for the Mets. The most uncomfortable at bat you can get is off Nolan Ryan. At least a few years ago it was. If you were a right-handed batter.
Worse than he. Ewell Blackwell.
Oh, I heard he was nasty.
He was a sidearm, hard-throwing right-hander, and man, when he started a ball game, everybody said, "Let's go to the hospital." I want to be checked for something. Maybe they can find something wrong with me.
Get me out of that lineup.
1-0 the count. Boxed by the catcher.
I'll tell you, that's the second time. This poor guy, John Mizrak, this can happen when you're catching a guy like Nolan Ryan. As hard as he throws him, he gets some ball movement. Oh, it can really, you can box up a crate back there.
Ryan has had 6 wild pitches so far this year, and he has an outstanding curveball. He has as good a curve as you'll see, and he bounces that a lot. There is the curveball chopped out to the shortstop Reynolds. And Dykstra is thrown out. So that'll do it. The Mets threaten but do not score. No runs on 1 hit, 2 walks, a double play, and 1-2 left on base. And the score at the end of 2, the Mets 1 and Houston nothing. Host the Houston Astros. The Mets and Astros tomorrow at 6:45 only on Sportschannel. It's Dwight Gooden taking his warm-up pitches, preparatory to pitching to the bottom part of the batting order. John Mizrak, Nolan Ryan, and then the top man, Bill Doran, as the Mets lead by a score of 1-0. An aspiring young ball player getting a little sun out there. Mizrak doing the catching in this ball game, hitting 182. He's been up 22 times with 4 base hits. Night's ball game, he was 0 for 3. And the fastball by Gooden for ball 1.
You know, Ralph, excuse me, I told you that story the other day, or a few moments ago, about Mizrak and Mark Daly, the catcher, where the pitchers complained. He's now back in the minor leagues. There's a guy in the Astro bench that in 1948 the pitchers complained about him, and Bucky Harris took him from behind the plate and put him in right field.
Les Moss?
No. You won't believe it.
Who is that?
Yogi Berra.
1948?
Yeah. Pitchers complained about him. They took him out from behind the plate and put him in right field.
And a strike call, 3 balls and 1 strike. That was his first year in the majors?
Yeah, and he threw so well from right field that the following spring, Bill Dickey worked with him. And, of course, he's in the Hall of Fame.
And it's ball 4. Gooden walks his first batter. Yogi Berra said about Bill Dickey that Dickey learned him his experience.
Dickey's a character.
Dickey, one of the greatest hitters that ever caught in baseball.
Pitcher Nolan Ryan.
Now it's Nolan Ryan coming up, and he's in a bunting situation. Ryan hitting 154 with 4 hits. He's driven in 3 runs, and he's had 1 major league home run. And that was against Don Sutton when he returned to the National League after leaving the National League and going to the American. Oh, it's done it hard. A play at second base. They get 1. They get 2.
Nobody does it better than Keith Hernandez. Watch this. Watch when he comes in. That right hip is open, So all he has to do is step and throw towards second base. It's open, he steps, perfect throw, he has a great arm. Santana back to Backman. They did it the hard way, and they did it so well. Keith Hernandez to Santana, who goes to first. It's a 3-6-4 double play.
Well, they say that George Sisler made that play extremely well, one of the greatest players that ever played in the Hall of Fame. Also, man, I saw play. Ferris Fain made that play very, very well.
Think of a guy named Wes Parker. Hodges must have done it pretty well also.
A little bit easier for a left-handed thrower to do it than a right-handed thrower.
One of the reasons they like a left-hander at first base.
Now the batter is Bill Dorn. Dorn flied to center field his first time up, hitting .270 on the year. 9 for 26 against Gooden lifetime. Boy, there's a good curveball.
You know, talking about having the hip open and throw to second base. When you look at the infielders or outfielders, they always have one leg in front of the other, even when they're preparing. For example, they're going down into the position to get ready.
And the fastball just misses. 2-2 the count.
It's usually the left foot in front of the right foot.
Curveball, top foul, another good one. Last time Gooden lost to Houston was back on May the 6th, 1984. And he lost to Nolan Ryan when Ryan beat the Mets, his last win against the Mets, 10-1. There's one of those high bouncers, a high chopper. 2-2 the count.
You know, you talked about Bill Dorn's 26 stolen bases. It's a career high, and he's at 26 right now. What an underrated ball player, Bill Dorn.
Back to the toy cannon. Here's a pitch taken high for a fastball ball. The toy cannon Wynn. Jim Wynn?
Yeah, Jimmy Wynn.
He has the club record for home runs with 37 back in 1967, but he never led the National League in home runs. Chopped out to Hernandez, and that retires the side. No runs, a walk, no hits, a double play, no one left on base. The score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Mets won, and the Houston Astros nothing.
It's time for the race for the pennant. Introducing our players. Dwight Gooden, alias Dr. K, baseball's youngest 20-game winner, the man who strikes fear in the hearts of batters, and his battery mate, Gary the Kid Carter, one of the RBI leaders in the National League, a perennial all-star. Will this dynamic duo be able to combine forces to bring the pennant to New York this year? To find out this and more, stay tuned to Sports Channel.
Caps, caps. Everybody at Shea is wearing caps. And you can too. Saturday, July 5th at 7:05 when the Mets host the Houston Astros, every fan in attendance will receive a 25th anniversary New York Mets baseball cap courtesy of Manufacturers Hanover Trust. All fans receive a Mets 25th anniversary baseball cap absolutely free. So come on out and catch the Mets as they take on the Houston Astros July 5th and receive a Mets 25th anniversary baseball cap courtesy of Manufacturers Hanover Trust, absolutely free.
Well, the Mets continue tomorrow night on Manufacturers Hanover Trust 25th anniversary cap night. Final game of this series on Sunday afternoon will be against these Astros. Then Pete Rose and the Cincinnati Reds will make their last appearance of the season here at Shea in a 3-game series July 7th, 8th, and 9th. Then the Atlanta Braves come to town Thursday, July 10th. The series continues on Friday night, the 11th, Saturday afternoon, the 12th, on the Equitable Old Timers Day, and concludes on Sunday afternoon, the 13th, on Thanks Rusty Staub Day. Due to the heavy demand of tomorrow night's Manufacturers Hanover Cap Night and also July 12th's Equitable Old Timers Day, tickets for both of these games are available at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window only. For all other home games, tickets can be purchased at all Ticketron outlets at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window or call 718-507-TIXX for more information.
And we're going now to the bottom half of the third. Wally Backman, the leadoff for the Mets. And the first pitch by Nolan Ryan, ball one. Backman grounded out his first time up. Wally Wally has been red hot, having his greatest year as a Met. And he attributes his improvement to Keith Hernandez, watching him and talking to him about how pitchers pitch. Another ground out to second for Wally Beckman. He's 0 for 2.
I think that's something that doesn't happen as much as you look at Mel Stottlemyre talking to Dwight Gooden about mechanics. Steve Garland, a trainer, is listening.
So 1 away, and Keith Hernandez the batter. Keith single up the middle to drive in the only run of this ball game, his first time up.
It's an interesting point you just made, Ralph, about Wally Beckman talking to Keith Hernandez. I don't think players do that enough or as much as they used to do it.
Keith is a little reticent about talking about other pitchers because he always feels that he might be traded, and he doesn't want people to know what he thinks.
That's a good point.
Hernandez hitting .294 coming into this ball game, now has 34 RBIs to go with his 5 home runs.
Fernando Valenzuela will not talk to the media about how he pitches hitters, and I think that's a good idea. There's a young baseball fan here at Shea Stadium.
Pitch him high and tight.
Somebody's stealing the power. I thought that was his power.
So Ryan on the mound, working to Keith Hernandez. Count of 2 balls and 1 strike. Ryan has given up 1 run on 3 hits. He has struck out 2, and there's a curveball grounded foul. 2-2 the count to Keith. .1981, Nolan Ryan 11-5. Tom Seaver 14-2. Fernando Valenzuela 13-7. Valenzuela was the Cy Young Award winner, although Tom Seaver really had the better stats. But Valenzuela was a rookie that year, and he also pitched 8 shutouts, and that set an all-time record for shutouts by a rookie pitcher.
That was the strike-shortened season.
Tom Seaver, of course, has been the MVP, should say the Cy Young Award winner 3 times. Steve Carlton has won it 4, the only man to win it 4 times, although if they had given away 2 Cy Young Awards, Sandy Koufax would have won it 4 or 5 times.
All right there, Keith Hernandez going down, swinging over the top of that fastball. Here's Wally Beckman's stance. How about that, Ralph? Look at those hands.
I don't like to see a bat laid off like that, but he's not a power hitter.
That's right. It doesn't matter because the bat has to come up. There's Hernandez. I like his. Now he takes those hands and moves them back into the hitting position. That's his stance, and then boom, they go back into the hitting position. He's ready.
And now here's Strawberry, who moves his bat around a lot. And the first pitch of fastball for ball 1. Darrell was struck out his first time up. Got him with a change of pace.
Ted Williams used to grind that bat when he waited to pitch.
Sawdust had come out of it. There's a ground ball hit softly to the first base side is foul.
And you really have to keep those hands relaxed. You can't hit if you're not relaxed. I remember Charlie Lau talking about getting that tension level down. That's one of the reasons he had the hitters swinging that bat in front of them in a relaxed fashion, trying to get the tension level down. And he used Rod Carew as an example, and of course George Brett would get that bat out there and try to get the tension level down.
Tim McCarver just pointed out that a pitcher named Russell had 8 shutouts his rookie year, but I also found out about that. One of those shutouts was not a complete game, and you cannot have a shutout without a complete game. So the records there were inconclusive on Russell.
Well, tear that page out of that book.
But he is credited with 8 shutouts along with Fernando Valenzuela.
Would you disagree?
Well, if you don't have a complete game, you can't have a shutout.
So the book is wrong.
Yeah. Remember that.
I like that. You know,
either the book was wrong or the fellow that had the information on the non-complete game was wrong.
How about this guy getting some sun?
2-2. The count to Darryl Strawberry. Mets leading 1-0. 2 men out, bottom half of the 3rd. And Strawberry struck out for the 2nd time. 4th strikeout for Nolan Ryan, his first 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of 3 here at Shea Stadium. The Mets 1 and the Astros 0.
May was Ray Knight. In June, George Foster. In July, might be Tim McCarver as he joins us in the booth.
All of my plays are past, pal. Only plays I make now are the ones that start at 7:30 or 8 o'clock on Broadway. If you remember that play by Ray Knight, the Met Play of the Month in May, was made against this ball club in the 2-game series against Phil Garner with runners at first and second, 2 out in the 9th inning of a 3-2 game. Knight saved the ball from going into left field and eventually saved the game with that play.
Jesse Orozco got the save in that ball game, and right now, Ty Gainey's the batter. He doubled his first time up, doubled into left field.
That was May 15th. Striving for accuracy up here, Franny, my boy.
You got it. Okay, now what was the day of the home run?
The day of what home run?
Hang it out. The Met Play of the Month. That George Foster.
Oh, that's George
today.
Foster's. Now you got me.
All right. But we will research
this
that.
isn't a quiz. I gave you half of it.
All right. Fastball fouled out of play. 1-1. We got a 1-0 ball game. Mets on top of the Astros, and we have 2 fine pitchers in this game. Nolan Ryan for the Astros and Dwight Gooden for the Mets.
Bill Webb tells us that was June 5th that George Foster hit that home run.
Right off the top of his head.
That was all right, now I'll tell you who it was against. It was against Bob Kipper with 1 on. And so we surrounded that baby, but I did have help.
Okay, what sign did it hit at Three Rivers Stadium?
I'll tell you what it was. It was a down and in fastball. That was the pitch.
Okay.
But I don't know what sign it hit.
Ground ball. Great play. Wow. Score it 4-3.
Boy, this is a quality play. Backman from his knees. That's why the Mets need Wally Backman. Spears it in the web. Gets up. Gets to his feet and throwing at the same time. Boy, that was a good play.
So 1 man down, and the batter will be Denny Walling. He flied to center field his first time up. 1 man down. Gary Carter just looking at Walling's eyes. Down low, ball 1. Gary Carter with the tools of ignorance. He's not ignorant. He's trying to find out if this guy's peeking.
What a caustic comment that is. Tools of ignorance.
I know.
Who came up with that?
I have no idea. There's an extra base hit off the bat of Denny Walling down the right field line. And Strawberry gets the ball back in. Walling glided into second base with a stand-up double.
Interesting to see Strawberry catch that ball. He used the stands to brace himself. And he gloves it just like that Billy Smith would do with the Islanders. Watch this. Whoa, there it is. Glove save.
Big gloves. The glove can be no longer than 1 foot. Of course, it'd be tough to handle a glove longer than 1 foot. Glenn Davis is the batter. He's 0 for 1. He popped to second base his first time up. Last year he had 20 home runs and 64 RBIs. This year he has 17 and 50 now. He's a good-looking ball player. A lot of power. And he hits a high fly ball that will stay in the infield foul territory. Keith Hernandez makes the play. Not an easy play, but Hernandez makes them all look easy. 2 outs.
Davis really is a good hitter, but against the Mets, it appears that he's been too anxious. Last night, in a situation with a runner at third base and 1 out, Davis popped up to Tim Tuffle. Davey Johnson had the infield in, and that turned out to be a big play. Kevin Bass grounded out, and the game went into extra innings, and what a finish.
Oh, boy, what an exciting finish.
2-run homer by Garner in the top of the 10th, and then Strawberry tied it with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th, and with 2 out and nobody on, Knight ended it with a home run. All 6 Met runs last night coming on home runs.
Some long home runs in last night's game as Kevin Bass takes up high from Gooden, 1 ball and no strikes. Bass singled to center his first time up and then was promptly picked off first base. Just saw the line score, 1-0. The Mets on top of the Astros. And Bass takes a strike, 1-1. Bass, the player of the month in June. Doing a fine job for the Astros. And Denny Walling leading off second base. Fouled off. Right before that pitch, Gary Carter was not as concerned about Kevin Bass looking back as he was when Denny Walling was at the plate. A lot of times, reputations.
Well, plus you're using a different set of signs with a runner on second base, too. With nobody on, you're using just one sign.
Well, I'm talking about looking at the hitter looking back.
Yeah, well, there's no need to look at the hitter in that situation because you're using a set of signs as opposed to just one.
Well, here's a ground ball to Hernandez. Score at 3-1, and the Astros leave a man stranded. We'll talk more about peaking when we come back. Right now, the score is 1-0 Mets on top of the Astros.
13.
Once you get that high, who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
I read that the other day.
They really didn't like Branch to steal 13 bases while he was catching. Gary Carter, what an old count. One and one. That has to be some sort of record.
I think it is. I believe it is.
Well, we've been told that Dwight Gooden getting the ball up to the plate, 94 miles per hour. But the surprising thing is this guy, Nolan Ryan, he's 93. When do you start losing something off the heater?
It's amazing. He is an amazing specimen.
One of the hardest workers I've ever seen, Nolan Ryan. I remember watching him just work out before a ball game. Of course, power pitcher, you need those strong legs. And boy, he works so hard. 1-2 on Gary Carter, who struck out his first time up. Down low, 2-2. 3 hits for each ball club in this game. Kind of a quiet game so far. 1-0. The Mets on top of the Astros. Most of the action throughout baseball at night. Gary Carter takes outside. 3-2. How many times do you think Nolan Ryan has gone to 3-2 in his career?
A bunch. He went about 450 starts before he pitched a ball game where he didn't walk a hitter.
That's wild.
That's wild. No, it's not wild. Or it's very wild, I should say.
Very, very.
What is not wild is Roger Clemens pitching one game this year and striking out 20 and not walking a hitter. You consider the fact Nolan Ryan went almost 450 starts without walking a hitter. Clemens pitches one game, strikes out 20 and doesn't walk a hitter.
That's not wild. There's a shot. Error. And Denny Walling right through his legs. No place to hide.
Well, I tell you, a lot of the things we talk about on the air, you can work at home. Just bend down and touch your toes from your hip and see where your hands are. They're back. Now look at Walling's hands. See, his rear end's not down. When the rear end's not down, now watch his hands. See where his hands are? His hands are back. That's why you play the ball under the hop. It's easier said than done, however. But if the ball comes up on you and takes a bad hop, that's one thing. The ball should never stay down and go through an infielder's legs, but it did just then because Walling's rear end was not, you know, when you bend your rear end, you get your rear end down, the hands go out. When your knees are straight and you bend from your waist, your hands are back between your legs.
Okay, everybody
work on that.
Everybody get back in their chairs now.
That's right. It's a great thing to work on the 4th of July. It's perfect.
Did you little herniated discs all over the place?
People be suing me malpractice suits for announcers.
1-0 at Danny Heath. Outside, 2-0. Danny Heath will be followed by Howard Johnson. Danny has an infield hit in this ball game. Ball 3. 3-0. You know, talking about Roger Clemens tonight, he struck out 20 hitters. A guy hit a home run in that ball game, and he's no longer in baseball. Norman Thomas. Here's Howard Johnson talking to Rafael Santana. There's a strike, 3-1. Beautiful day. Happy birthday to the great country of America. Festive occasion here in New York. We have tall ships and we have good baseball. The ladies' light is shining bright again. There's a shot. Ooh, boy. Doran knocks it down. A 4-6. No double play. Boy, Bill Doran just took a base hit away from Danny Heap. Heap smoked this ball.
Little two-hopper, and Doran does all he can just to get one out. They almost turned the double play. Carter going in hard at second base. Ball really hit hard. You're right, Fran. Man, that ball was smoked. Look at Carter. Carter went down late, and that's probably the reason that Reynolds made that bad throw. Had it been a good, strong throw, they may have had Heap at first base.
I think they would have gotten him. But Heap is on first base. One out. And the batter, Howard Johnson, who walked his first time up. Takes that breaking ball down and in, ball one. At home, the Mets are 26-10. On the road, 27 and 11. 53-21 record. Outstanding 12.5 game lead over the Expos. The Expos will play the Atlanta Braves tonight. Foul tip. Inadvertently fouled off by Howard Johnson.
Fran, the most stolen bases in a game by one club since 1900. Sounds like the $64,000 question. Since 1900, the New York Yankees in the American League stole 16 bases September 28, 1911.
Wow.
The pensive rally caps today. They usually have the rally caps with the balls sitting on top and the beaks turned up. In the National League, the Giants stole 11 in 1912, and the Cardinals stole 11 in 1916 against Pittsburgh. And I assume that was the game that Ricky was catching.
Cardinals.
Most stolen bases in a game since 1900. Cardinals against Pittsburgh. For both clubs in a game since 1900.
No, I think Ricky caught. He was catching for the Yankees.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Well, that had to be the 15 then.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Yeah, it's 13. Well, he must have come out of the game because it was 13 while he was catching. As Howard Johnson takes ball 2, 2-2. Those ball players knew what Branch was going to do to him when he was a general manager, so they took advantage of him.
Well, there were some players that did think Branch was stealing when
Ralph's what? Strike 3, good curveball.
Well, that's the pitch that made Nolan Ryan the complete pitcher. That pitch right there. When a hitter has to look for that, along with that 93-mile-an-hour fastball, 93 plus in his younger days, you've got to cope with the two different speeds, and you can't cope with both of them.
Rafael Santana is the batter. He hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the second inning. Safe to say Nolan might have the two best pitches
over the longest period of time. Of course, Carlton, the fastball and slider that he's thrown over a long period of time.
Two great pitches.
Tom Seaver's made a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes in his style of pitching. Most guys have to, and this guy hasn't. It's amazing.
It really is. Just a great body, a great arm, and he's had an arm operation. He had an arm operation with the Angels, and boy, we were happy in Kansas City. He came into town throwing bullets. We didn't believe he had the operation. 1-0 on Santana. They check Heap at first base. I understand the 4 best pitches anybody's ever had was Sudden Sam McDowell. On Santana. 1-1.
Sam certainly did not utilize those pitches to the best of his ability.
He'll be the first one to admit that. Sam working with some of the ball clubs on alcohol rehabilitation. Here's Dwight Gooden. He's to follow Santana. The Mets are 32 games over 500. Foul tipped off of Mizrak, the catcher. So the count stays 1-2.
Only 2 times since 1972 has Nolan Ryan registered under 30 starts a year. 21 in the strike-shortened season, of course, in 81, and then in 83 he had 29. That is remarkable. Bunch of pitches.
And he checks Heath again. Doesn't look like Nolan's slowing up at all either. As we mentioned, he's been timed at 93 miles per hour this afternoon. He just came off the disabled list. Two balls and 2 strikes. His control has helped him and hurt him. Being a little bit wild. A hitter's never comfortable against Nolan Ryan, but of course if you're a lot wild, you're going to walk a lot of hitters. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Nolan Ryan strikes out Rafael Santana, his 6th strikeout of the ball game. Mets fail to score. They leave a runner stranded at the end of 4. It's 1-0 Mets. Jose Cruz will lead it off for the Astros. He'll be followed by Greg Reynolds and then John Mizrak as we go to the top of the 5th inning here at Shea Stadium. The Mets 1, the Astros 0. He's a Met fan. Not sure if he wants to be a catcher or an infielder.
One thing's for sure, he's probably a left-hander.
And speaking of left-handers, here's Jose Cruz. Coming into this season, 86 3-baggers among active players. He ranks 4th. Of course, he played in that artificial surface in Houston. I think most of your triple hitters or guys that lead the league in triples are the top 5 and 10 playing that artificial surface as Cruz takes strike. Also your doubles leaders.
But not the best hitter in baseball, Wade Boggs.
No. There's a strike 0-2. We were talking up in Montreal about the Boston Red Sox. Most of the guys who've led the league and played with the Boston Red Sox in batting average have been left-handed hitters. Only 2 right-handed hitters did it. Jimmy Fox did it. And Carney Lansford in the strike-shortened season of 81. 1-2 on Cruz. Fouled off. One and 2 on Cruz. Oh yeah, we have an anniversary today here in the booth. Up high, 2-2, the 10th anniversary of that Grand Slam home run.
No, it wasn't. It's a Grand Slam single.
That's what I was going to say. That wasn't the Grand Slam home run. It was a Grand Slam.
But it wasn't a Grand Slam home run.
Because you went around the first base. You had good
Past
speed.
Gary Maddox.
Because of that speed.
Past the fastest guy on the club like he was standing still.
Well, you can run. No doubt about it.
He was standing still.
10 years ago today.
That's correct. 10th anniversary.
Do we have a tape of that?
I've tried to destroy all the tapes.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. And a fly ball to left field. Danny Heath coming in and makes the catch. 1 down. And now for our famous quotes. Uttered by Tim McCarver, my kingdom for an out. Uttered by Tim McCarver with 2 men out in the bottom of the 19th inning at 3:55 a.m. July 5th, 1985. What was that score? 16-13. That was an interesting evening, wasn't it?
Yep. Actually, tomorrow at 4 a.m., that'll be the anniversary of that, right?
That's right. You'll probably be celebrating that as the balls hit the Darryl Strawberry. 2 outs.
And what do you mean by that?
You know, relaxing, Well, 4 a.m. though, that's too late.
Right. My kingdom for a horse is the original quote, of course, from Richard III.
Richard III. Yeah, I was wondering who he played for.
Never been a grandfather, father, or never been 3 generations of players in Major League Baseball. A lot of father and son combinations, of course.
John Miserak, the batter, hits a high fly ball, and Rafael Santana fights the son, and he wins out, making that catch for out number 3. So here in the 5th for the Astros, 3 up, 3 down. At the end of 4 1/2, it's 1-0 Mets.
For one in New York sports.
Well, how about that shot? Here's looking at you. Oh,
My sister lives in Chicago now, and we do keep in touch. So I'm contrary to Ozzie Virgil Sr. and his sister.
And here's Dwight Gooden. Dwight walked his first time up. Takes that heater inside, ball 1.
That was previewed here on Sportschannel that night, right?
That's right.
How can you not know your brother was fired and joined a new ball club? 3 months.
Yeah, that's
3
bad.
months.
Fouled out of play, 1-1.
Ozzie did finally get in touch with his sister, though. Told him where he was. Yeah, that was all straightened out. We called him down in Texas. Told him his sister was trying to get in touch with him. He said, well, he'd talk to her. And we're just trying to help.
I wonder if she knows where her nephew
Baseball's not the most important thing. Keeping the family together.
There's a ground ball, second base. Score that 4-3, 1 down. Does Ozzie know where his son is?
He's in Atlanta. Those Atlanta Braves, by the way, playing excellent baseball. They're only a game and a half back in the National League West. An accordion division, they ought to call it.
Boy.
Keep squeezing back and forth.
How about the Padres, only 2.5 out?
Yeah.
Cincinnati in the basement, they're 8 games back, but they're not completely out of it.
They're tied with the Dodgers. Cincinnati, or I beg your pardon, the Dodgers now 7.5 back. Cincinnati after losing to the Phillies 7-3 last night. San Francisco in first place. Houston in second, half a game back. Atlanta a game and a half. San Diego 2.5.
And Len Dykstra, the batter here, 1 ball, no strike count. He doubled and grounded to short, so he's 1 for 2. We're in the top of the 5th inning, 1 man down. Nolan Ryan against Dwight Gooden. Bottom of the 5th, it's 1-0. The Mets on top of the Astros. John Miserak having a bit of a problem hanging on to Nolan's heater today.
Looks like he's catching with one of those ejectors back
really
there.
Does. He's been beaten up, and they're only in the 5th inning.
You talked about Bill Dickey before. I'll tell you a story about him and my problems catching. You mentioned how he helped Yogi Berra. Well, Bill Dickey almost signed with the Yankees, and I've told you that before here on Sportschannel, but Bill Dickey, as a present, my first professional mitt, actually, he gave me my first professional baseball mitt, catcher's mitt.
Ball 4.
And the thing had some foam rubber around the edge of it, and you talk about having problems. I couldn't catch a ball in the pocket. Boy, it hit that foam rubber and catapults out of that glove like it was a rocket launcher. Balls used to go 30 feet from me. I mean, I caught for a half a year. I didn't have enough money to buy another one. That was the reason I didn't. I caught for a half a year, and finally in my first spring training, Eddie Stanky, the farm director of the Cardinals, said, son, you're going to have to get a new glove. That glove is not meant to catch. He said, you ought to hit with that glove. Balls jump off of that thing like it's...
Wally Backman's a line drive, but Jose Cruz is right there, makes the catch. 2 down. Here's today's quiz. Gary Carter has set a new Mets record with 11 sacrifice flies this season. The Astros record is 12. Who holds that record? How about Rusty Staub?
Could. I'd say Jose Cruz.
Okay. Keith Hernandez steps in. I got to ask you a question, Tim. Now, Bill Dickey gave you the glove. He was scouting for the Yankees.
Right. Lives in Little Rock. Still lives in Little Rock.
You signed with the Cardinals. Did he give you the glove after you signed?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
He wanted to do you in.
He was a nice man and still a good friend.
Great catcher. There's the strike to Keith Hernandez.
Holds the record along with Johnny Bench for most consecutive seasons of 100 games or more, as you see Larry Anderson tossing lightly. 13 seasons Bill Dickey caught 100 games or more. So did Johnny Bench.
Ray Schock, an old-timer, caught 11 years. In fact, Ray Schock is the guy who started backing up first base. Early 1900s.
Gary Carter's caught 100 games or more 9 years in a row. Outside chance to tie that record.
How about that guy right there, Yogi Berra. Great catcher. Mentioned earlier when he started in 1948, pitchers got him out from behind the plate. Didn't like throwing to Yogi. He said, first off, all he wanted to call was for the fastball.
Of course, they didn't have a head. They couldn't shake him off.
That's right.
No, that's too easy.
Those
pitchers have all types of excuses, believe me.
And Len Dykstra breaks the second, then holds his ground, and there's a ground ball up the middle. And Craig Reynolds made the play. When Lenny faked, Craig Reynolds broke the second, took a base hit away from Keith Hernandez.
Right.
So Keith is now 1 for 3, and that'll do it for the Mets. Here in the bottom of the 5th, they fail to score, leave one man stranded. There's the score, 1-0 Mets. Well, Hal Lanier, who turned 44 years old today, the manager of the Astros, will send this guy up to pinch hit for Nolan Ryan. Louis Meadows attended North Carolina State. He takes a strike from Dwight Gooden.
Well, the reason for this, Ryan would normally be the pitcher and hitting right now with a 1-0 ball game.
There's a pop-up into shallow right field, and Wally Backman makes the play, 1 down. Well, we're going to take a look at that quiz. Gary Carter has set a new Mets record with 11 sacrifice flies this season. The Astros record is 12. Who holds that record? I say a young Rusty Staub.
You've already said it, and I said Cruz.
Right. Okay. Ray Knight. All right.
All right. That's good.
We're just testing to see if they were on top of things downstairs. There's Ray. Having a great year with the Mets. Ball down low to Bill Doran.
To complete that thought about Nolan Ryan, Hal Lanier told me that they are limiting his pitches. No more than 70 pitches. So Nolan Ryan seems like he threw more than that.
I thought well, maybe Hal's a little confused because last night he told me 125 and he told you 70.
125?
Pitches, yeah.
Well, he didn't throw 125, but he threw more than 70.
So maybe he figured, well, he told you 70, me 125.
Yeah, maybe it's somewhere in between. 125, then, you know, what's the average? About 105? 110, maybe?
Not for Dolan.
So maybe for,
And Bill Doran just walked. So Doran down on first base, and the batter will be Ty Gainey. He's 1 for 2. He doubled to left field and grounded to second base.
But because of that sprained medial collateral ligament, he was limited to a number of pitches, and Hal thought that that number of pitches was up, and that is the reason that Louis Meadows pinch hit for Nolan Ryan.
Ty Gainey.
1 out. We're at the top of the 6th inning, 1-0. The Mets on top of the Astros. Ty Gainey, the batter, and they check Doran at first base. 26 SBs this year for Doran.
That's a career high. He has, however, been caught 13 times.
We talked about stances before. Here's a guy with an open stance. Steps in and fouls the ball off. 0-1. The guy who's been able to master that type of stance and hit the ball pretty well since going to that stance is Brian Downey. Right-handed hitter, plays left field for the California Angels, has an open stance and then strides into the ball.
Well, it's not advisable for a young player to take a stance like that because you got too much to do with your front side. It's better to have that front side in position rather than to work it into a position. Because if you have it into position, then all you have to worry about are the hands.
Fouled off, 0-2. Yeah, too much movement. Brian Downey went through a transformation as a player. He started lifting weights. He got a build like Popeye and really started crushing the ball. When he first came up, he was a pretty decent catcher, but didn't do much with the bat. And then all of a sudden started lifting weights.
I tell you, this young man right here, Ty Gainey, is some kind of put together.
Oh, yes.
Batted .362. Came up a few days ago and is hitting all 3 starts. Came up when Billy Hatcher was put on the DL. Pardon me, Fran.
And he has an 0-2 count. It's now 0-3. Strike 3. 2 down.
Second strikeout for Dwight Gooden. Lord Charles right here. Oh, Carter did a good job holding that ball. A lot of times you get down on one knee and you hold that ball and you give the umpire a good shot. And he gave home plate umpire Ed Montague a good shot, and Gooden punched him out of there.
And one of the sins committed by a lot of catchers is coming up too soon with the man on first base. Usually happen to a young catcher or a guy that's relatively tall, although Carter's pretty big. 2 outs, and the batter now, Denny Walling, who's 1 for 2, and they check Doran at first base. We have a beautiful 4th of July afternoon here in New York. There's the line score, 1-0, Mets on top of the Astros. Here in the top of the 6th, I'm Fran Healy along with Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner. You're watching all the action exclusively on Sportschannel. And a ball pulled foul by first base coach Matt Galante, St. John's University graduate.
Carter looking down at Dennis Menke giving the signs. A lot of third base coaches, like a lot of runners, they overly nonchalant either sign giving or their lead at first base. And sometimes that's the biggest tip-off that a runner may be running.
Here's Dennis Menke.
You give it that old whistling act. Give a sign, turn around toward the outfield.
They check Doran at first base.
Give me that la-di-da-di-da-da-da. You know, nothing could be on now. I'm too relaxed. And then boom, something happened.
There's Dennis Menke. Flashing signs. As I mentioned, Matt Galante, the first base coach. And there goes Doran. And there's a fly ball. And there's Len Dykstra. And there's the catch. Out number 3. So that'll do it for the Astros here in the top of the 6th. They fail to score. 1 man left at base. At the end of 5.5, it's 1-0 Mets.
He was released, if you remember, by the Phillies back in the middle of June, and has done a good job for Houston. 24 2/3 innings of work, struck out 9 and walked 14. Larry Anderson, and the one thing you can look for to left-handers, and he'll be facing Strawberry first, he loves to pitch left-handers inside.
And as you mentioned, Tim, he'll face Strawberry, then Gary Carter, and then Danny Heap as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. We have a 1-0 ball game here on the 4th of July. All the tall ships surrounding the Statue of Liberty.
When did the statue come to the United States? October 28, 1886? Was that the date?
I'm not sure, but it came from France.
Yeah? I saw the diminutive copy of the statue, 1965 in Paris, right on the Seine there.
Well, just think of what it meant to so many people over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Right. Our nation being the immigrant nation that it is, the big melting pot back in the early 1900s. All the ethnic groups that settled in New York, Boston, Philadelphia.
Yeah, everybody wanted to come here and still do. Greatest nation in the world as Darryl Strawberry steps in and takes outside from Anderson. Ball one. 1-0 on Darryl Strawberry. As we mentioned, Darryl with 2 long home runs last night. And there's that ball inside. 1-1. And Darryl hits a rope in the center field. And a nice catch by Ty Gainey.
The reason Gainey went down like that, that was one of those knuckleballs. Ty smiling. That's that knuckleball, and a center fielder will catch a ball like that, much like a catcher tries to catch the knuckleball. Strawberry hit it so hard that it had that dead spin on it. I mean, he hit that ball hard.
And that knuckleball can do some damage to your thumb out there in the outfield and the infield. Ball dip and ruin your thumb. Anyways, Gary Carter is the batter, and he hits a rope in the center field. This will fall in front of Gainey. So Gary Carter has his first hit of the ball game. And the Mets have a runner on first with 1 man down. That'll bring up Danny Heath. Danny in his ball game has an infield hit, and he grounded into a 4-6 force play. So he's 1 for 2. Mets hammering the ball this year. They have 131 doubles, 14 triples, and 75 home runs. As Heath takes down low ball 1. That's compared to last year at this time. They had 94 doubles, 12 triples, and 53 home runs, and they were hitting the ball pretty good last year. Ball driven into the crowd, not a play. 1-1. Well, Nolan Ryan started this ball game. He's now in the clubhouse. Larry Anderson on in relief. Inside. 2-1. Heath will be followed by Howard Johnson. Another foul ball. 2-2. Well, tomorrow night you can catch all the action again right here on Sports Channel. The Mets and the Astros. So if you can't make it out to Shea Stadium, keep your dial right there, and we'll come right back to you tomorrow night. Then the finale will be Sunday afternoon right here at Shea Stadium. Strike 3. So Danny Heath goes down looking. 2 outs.
That's that tailing fastball on the inside part of the plate. Did come right back over the plate. And a good pitch by Larry Anderson. Anderson is with the Houston Astros. He's with his 5th Major League Ball club. Released from the Phillies, as we said.
Howard Johnson hits a rope down the first baseline, and Glenn Davis gloves it, and that'll do it for the Mets here in the bottom of the 6th. They fail to score. They leave a runner stranded at the end of 6. It's 1-0 Mets on top of the Astros.
Besting Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan worked 5 innings and gave up only 3 hits. He's been relieved by Larry Anderson, and relieving Fran Healy, Ralph Kiner.
Good pitching duel on a beautiful day for baseball, a day that Abner Doubleday must have selected for the start of baseball. July 4th, pretty good day to have a doubleheader.
Sure is.
Remember the days when you used to have doubleheaders and holidays?
Yeah, doubleheaders on holidays, doubleheaders on almost every Sunday, and Mondays off. Not an off year for Glenn Davis. What a good-looking player he seems to be. 17 home runs on the year. Breaking ball is low from Gooden.
I remember Al Rosen saying to me, Tim, he says, you got to see this boy Davis. He can hit it. This was 3 years ago. He's hit it well 17 times this year.
Had 20 home runs last year in his rookie season. He is not playing in the easiest of home run parks either.
He's hit 9 of his home runs on the road, so he's hit 8 in the Astrodome.
That's a lot. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, the whole team only hit 18 in the dome. Fastball for a strike.
It's that wind that blows in all the time.
The air conditioning. Good breaking ball. Oh, boy. Off the table. 1-2.
There it is.
Ow.
Oh, that's a big one right there.
Another curve is high. 2-2.
Dwight throws different types of curveballs. I don't know whether he does it on purpose or not. But he does have that big one you saw there on the replay, and then he throws one that's a smaller, tightly wrapped curveball. I really think he does it by accident.
Yeah, I do too. Fastball hit deep to center. Dykstra back, shading the eyes, and he makes the catch. Boy, that sun must be tough. Dykstra fighting the sun all the way.
So you've played a sun field, you don't realize how tough this is. He's got to get the ball out of the sun. Now you do that by maneuvering your body around. If it stays right in the sun, you can't see it. And you have to twist and turn and try and work it out of there. And even though you got the glasses down, you can't see it if it's in the heart of that sun.
Kevin Bass, 1 for 2. He singled and then was picked off promptly. Swing and a miss, 0-1. 3 hits for Houston, 4 for the Mets. The Mets with a tenuous 1-0 lead.
And the Mets with that 1 run averting the shutout. They have not been shut out this year.
This in their 75th ball game. Well hit right field. Strawberry back. This ball is out of here. Home run, Kevin Bass. So the game's tied 1-1.
Kevin Bass, the player of the month of June for the Houston Ball Club. And here in July on the 4th, he hits a home run, his 12th of the year. Little short swing, he really got on it. And Bass coming on to be an outstanding ball player, picked up in the Don Sutton trade when Sutton was sent to Milwaukee. And that home run given up by Gooden, the 9th this year.
Cruz fouls one away. It's 0-1. 1-1 ball game. Each side now with 4 hits. Kevin Bass on that down and in fastball. Fastball is inside. 2-1. I beg your pardon, 1-1. 1 out. We're in the top of the 7th. 0-2. Cruz 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Dwight Gooden trying to win his 8th game against the Astros in 9 tries.
And losing his chance for his 3rd shutout. League leaders are Nepper and Valenzuela with 3 shutouts.
Cruz goes for the high fastball. 2-2 to Jose. Fouls this one back. Jose, the proud papa of 3 boys and a girl. All 3 boys are named Jose. First or second name. One of his children's named Jose Cheito, which means in Spanish, Joe Little Joe. A lot of Jose's in Jose's house. 3-2 to Jose Cruz. Fine gentleman.
Picked up with practically no money at all from the St. Louis Cardinals, $25,000. What a bargain.
Stretch that over from 74 to 86, about $1,200 a year. Pretty good investment for the Astros. One of 3 brothers to play in the major leagues, Hector and Tommy. Cerrillo, and Jose draws the base on balls. That's walk number 3 given up by Gooden. So Cruz with good speed at first base.
Around to the plate, shortstop, Craig Reynolds.
And Craig Reynolds the batter. He's flying to right and grounded to first. A pinch runner, Tony Walker, for the Astros.
Your attention, please, for the Astros.
Tony even more of a threat to run.
Number 30, Tony Walker.
And we'll see how many stolen bases Walker has. He has 3 and 4 tries. So Walker with good speed. Lanier likes to play that running game. Hal Lanier, the manager of the Astros, and doing such a fine job in his first year. Gooden throws to first. Walker back. Tough thing to do, pinch run. You're never loose when you go in there. I pulled both quadriceps in my right and left leg. Obviously, since you only have one in each leg. Pitch out. And it's 1-0. Back in spring of 1975, and it got to the point where I had to lift my right leg, which was torn more seriously than my left, to get my right leg up on a curb. That quadricep is a serious, serious injury, and that's what can happen when you pinch run. 1-0 to Reynolds.
That is a big muscle.
Ooh. Walker had 42 stolen bases last year. 42 in 82, 43 in 83, 28 in 84, so he can fly. And a little fake break. Fastball is high, 2-0. That's the thing about the stolen base. A lot of times it's the lack of the stolen base that's more effective.
The anticipation.
Yep.
It's like a knockdown pitch. You think you're going to get knocked down. It's more effective than if you do get knocked down, then you realize they're not going to throw at you anymore.
There goes Walker. Fastball popped up. Backman under it, and he makes the catch. Well, that was a big pitch in this ball game. And with 2 out, the batter, John Mizrock. Reynolds went after ball 3, actually. High fastball, and rather disgusted. 29,414 total today. 28,557 paid. Pretty good crowd considering all the activity here on the island. Liberty Park. 4th of July. Fireworks last night a couple of times. Doubleheader fireworks in the game and then afterwards. Walker not running, the fastball outside. 1-1, top of the 7th.
Over 50,000 last night in the ballpark.
See where they had 61,000 in Philadelphia last night?
They do well on their fireworks night every year. Time. I don't know whether it's to tie his shoe or get his breath. This
might have jammed that left foot, Ralph.
Let's look at it again. It is very close. Yeah, he did turn it over. You could see that ankle go over.
Boy, that was a close play. Walker appeared to just beat it. His left ankle appears to be all right. 1-0 to John Mizrock. He's 0 for 1 with a walk today. And Gooden started. Mizrock called time. Montague bailed out, and Walker took 2 steps as if to run.
Everybody was in motion, and nothing happened.
5 false starts. Gooden, Carter, Montague, Mizrock, and Walker. And us. Walker looks runnerish, and there he goes, popped up and out of play. Carter back, and it's about 10 rows back. So it's 1-1 to Mizrock.
Al Lanier, the manager of the Houston Ball Club, former Major League infielder. His dad, one of the great left-handed pitchers of the 1940s.
Lanier, the 9th manager in Houston Astro history and Colt 45 history. The Astros, the Colt 45s before moving into the Dome in 1965. Walker gave a fake break. Mizrock singles, the throw to third, and Walker's in there. Walker slowed down rounding second, then he picked it up. That's that point about an outfielder getting to the ball and throwing it. Don't try to time the plays.
Well, with 2 men out, the main part of this throw is to make it low so it can be cut off and the runner that hit the ball doesn't go to second. Dykstra did throw it low, so the runner hitting the ball does not go over to second base, even though Walker does get to third. But he's there with 2 men out, and the pitcher due up.
Going to be a pinch hitter, and it's going to be Alan Ashby, the pinch hitter for Larry Anderson. Dykstra was decoyed out on that play as Walker slowed down going around second base.
Number 14,
and then he went to third. Ashby batting .223. He's 2 for 12 as a pinch hitter. Astros have runners at first and third, 2 out, a 1-1 ball game. They already have 1 in on Kevin Bass's 12th home run of the year. Good cut and fouled it back, 0-1. Ashby came to the Houston Astros back in 1978 in the Mark Lemongello trade. Remember Mark Lemongello, the right-handed pitcher? Came from the Toronto Blue Jays. Curveball and a beauty. 0-2.
Mark got mixed up in a real estate deal down in Florida.
Yeah.
Wasn't considered to be too good.
Another good curveball, and Ashby, through no fault of his own, got a little piece of it.
He was really faked out on the pitch. Lucky to even touch it.
Got him on a strike. Third strikeout for Gooden as Ashby goes down. What a curveball that was. 1 run, however, for the Astros. 2 hits, and they strand 2. After 6.5, a 1-1 ball game. We'll be back. celebrate 25 amazing years in the Equitable Old Timers Day game, July 12th. Tickets are still available.
And fans, you're invited to attend a special day at Shea, Sunday afternoon, July 13th, as the Mets will honor in a pregame ceremony a man who has given us all a lot of memorable thrills over the years, Rusty Staub. Festivities will get underway at 1 p.m. with the final game of the Mets-Atlanta Braves series getting started at 2:05. Tickets are still available and can be purchased at all Ticketron outlets, at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or call 718-507-TIXX for more information. So come on out and help the Mets honor Rusty Staub Sunday afternoon, July 13th.
And the new pitcher for the Astros, Dave Smith, 1-4 record, 16 saves. Tony Walker remains in the game. He'll play, I beg your pardon, Ty Gainey moves from center field to left field, and Tony Walker will stay in the game and play center field. There's Ty. He'll...
He says, I don't need these sunglasses anymore. It's already swung over to right field.
Well, you saw the problem that Dykstra had on the fly ball back in the 7th inning. Looks like he was switching sunglasses. Maybe one of them had a crack in it or something.
I know when I played left field in Yankee Stadium, I took out 2 pair. One pair that was really a dark pair and another pair that was lighter, because the sun would sometimes get mixed in with the clouds, and you needed the lighter pair to handle when the clouds were blocking out some of that sunshine.
Breaking ball is high to Rafael Santana. Tell you one thing, this guy is a tough assignment. Dave Smith. Fastball, forkball, breaking ball. His forkball's his best pitch. Santana 0 for 2. Gooden on deck. Ball 3.
Smith was accused by Roger Craig this year of cutting the baseball.
Ball 4. So for those 4 pitches, he cut them the wrong way. Dwight Gooden, the batter, is 0 for 1. He walked first time up, and he grounded to second. He'll be bunting here. Walling in on the grass. The one thing we've noticed about Dave Smith, when he looks at third base, he goes to first. When he looks home, he comes home. Pops it up, and Mizrock did not get a good jump on it. And I doubt that he'd have gotten it anyway. The ball wasn't bunted that high. Dave Smith comes set. Get the hands up. If he's looking at third, he'll go to first. If he's looking home, he'll go home. We'll see if he keeps that pattern, true to that pattern. Gooden fouls another one off, 0-2.
When Smith was accused by Roger Craig of cutting the baseball, Smith said, I've known Roger since I was 18, and Roger taught me well.
Roger was a pitching coach for the Astros, of course.
Smith became one of 4 National League relievers to save 8 games in 8 consecutive appearances. He joined Clay Carroll, Goose Gossage, and Bruce Sutter in that department. The record is 10 out of 10, set by Dan Quisenberry.
There, did you see him look at third and then go to first? Looked at third, went to first. When he looks at third, that's when he goes. When he looks home, he comes home. That's our third base camera. Fooled us then. And the bunt to Glenn Davis is successful. Scored 1-4. So Santana moves to second base.
Oh, the White pulling off a 2-strike bunt, and most of you know that if the ball is bunted foul with 2 strikes, you're automatically out. Ball over to Davis, and Davis to Doran.
And the batter, Len Dykstra. And now you can start looking for that fork ball, and it is a good one. Dykstra 1 for 2 with a walk. He doubled and scored the first run of the game in the first. It's a 1-1 ball game, bottom of 7. There's the fork ball. Greg Reynolds, the shortstop, in to talk with Smith now. Checking on the signs. Dave from San Francisco, California.
Curveball.
Well hit, right field. That's back. Up against the wall. Santana will have to hurry. He scores. 2-1 Mets.
Takes it off the fence. What a job Dykstra is doing. His second double of this ball game. He's now 2 for 3. Off of the base of the fence. Santana, the runner at second, held up to see whether or not it would be caught. He comes in, no play at home, and Dykstra ends up at second with an RBI.
Wally Backman, base, I should say ground ball to Davis. Ball in the hole. Davis got to it quickly. Dykstra moving to third. 2 out. The Mets with 1 in the first and 1 in the 7th. Houston with 1 in their half of the 7th. 2-1, New York on top. Boy, this ball club is relentless, aren't they, Ralph?
Just keep coming at you.
Man.
And it's being spread throughout the lineup.
And throughout the league, too. A strike, 0-1. They played the most dominating brand of baseball I've ever seen through 75 games, I'll tell you that.
And that stat there, it shows Keith's action a year ago today, and that hitting for the cycle, the 4 base hits, a single, double, triple, and home run, got Keith started on a terrific batting streak.
There's the fork ball grip right there. That's not with the seams, as his last pitch indicated. And it was a fork ball, and it's lifted to left. Gainey in, and he makes the catch, but the Mets take the lead again. 1 run on 1 hit. An RBI double by Dykstra. And after 7, 2-1, New York. We'll be right back. For the Astros, 2-1. A well-pitched ball game, as you see. Each team with 5 hits. The Astros have committed 1 error. Bill Doran leads it off for Houston here in the top of the 8th inning.
For the Astros.
Mets trying to win their 4th in a row over the Houston Astros at Shea Stadium. Doran has walked, grounded to first, and flied to center. Check swing, and he didn't go far enough, says Lee Wire, so it's 1-0 to Doran. Fouls it back, 1-1. Gooden may have a chance to pitch twice in the Astrodome the next time the about 2 weeks, right? Starting the All-Star game, and then he'll pitch against the Astros, I would imagine, either Saturday or Sunday, depending on how many pitches he throws during the game. Fly ball, right center field. Dykstra over. And he makes the play. 1 out. Kind of an unusual occurrence, isn't it? Pitching twice in 1 week.
In 1 week, yeah, 1 series. Whitey Herzog has announced that his opening pitcher will be Dwight Gooden, although it's not official.
Davey Johnson will be a coach in that ball game. Ty Gainey, the batter, he's 1 for 3, doubled in the first. The only run for the Astros coming on a home run by Kevin Bass, his 12th of the year. 2-1, New York. Per ball high.
There they are checking out that baseball for cuts. That's the story we told you about when Roger Craig accused Smith of cutting the baseball.
Balls sure are dirty, aren't they? Like those pine tar. Good check. That's the 3rd one they've looked at.
And they have the advantage because the balls that the umpire gets for the use in the ball game are kept in the Met dugout, the home team dugout. So when they are tossed out of a ball game, they go back into the bag.
So if you're going to cut a ball, do it in your own home park, right?
One time, Joe Torre collected 8 balls that were cut by Don Sutton in the exact same place. And let's put it differently. Let's say that while he was pitching, they found 8 balls that were cut in the exact same place.
Mm-hmm. More than coincidence, huh?
It's a pretty high coincidence.
I'm sure Chub Phenia took action, right?
Oh, yes. Sutton was kicked out of a ball game for manufacturing some substance on the ball, and he's threatened to sue baseball.
Doug Harvey's crew out in San Francisco, as a matter of fact.
Of course, Honeycutt of the Dodgers was caught with a tack on his glove cutting baseballs, and he was suspended.
With a name like that, you got to cut the ball.
Honeycutt cut the ball. Makes a great headline.
2-2 to Gainey. 1 out. We're in the 8th. 2-1 New York. Gooden has struck out 3. He's walked 3. Breaking ball inside. 3-2 to Ty Gainey.
Well, the only reason why Gainey took this pitch, he couldn't hit it.
Can't hit it, take it. Pretty good philosophy. Tell you, he's got a good swing, doesn't he? Good extension, strong, makes contact. Going to be a fine hitter from Cheraw, South Carolina. Ty Gainey.
Born on Christmas Day.
Ah, nice present. Fouls another one off.
He was a teammate of punters Dale Hatcher, who kicks for the Rams, and Harry Newsom, who kicks for the Steelers. Here's a look at his swing. Boy, does he round that knee up. Not a bad-looking swing. A little behind that pitch. Put a little circle in there with that knee, didn't he?
Uh-huh. Another one fouled away. Gooden threw that last fastball. Gainey staying alive. Only one other time this year has Gooden walked more than he struck out. That was the 18th against the Expos, when the Expos scored 6 earned runs against him and 6 in the 3rd inning. Gainey staying tough.
And he got his first extra base hit in the major leagues yesterday, and he got his first stolen base. 2-base hit off Ron Darling, who is the pitcher of ND in last night's ball game. No decision.
Fine job by Ronnie. Struck out 9. Jim DeShays of the Astros worked 7 innings, striking out 11.
His career high.
Fastball misses. You talk about a quality at bat by Ty Gainey. Fouling off about 6 or 7 pitches and then taking a fastball just off the plate. So Gainey on, walk number 4 by Gooden. Tip your hat to the hitter sometime. That was a quality at bat.
He fought off a lot of good fastballs there and took that one outstanding curveball for a ball.
That 2-2 curve. Denny Walling, the batter. He has good power. He doubled in the 4th and has twice flied to center. Good fastball hitter. And that's what he's going to get. Down the middle of the plate. So it's 0-1 to Denny Walling. You know, he takes a lot early in the count to get ahead of the pitcher and look for that fastball. This guy's a good thinking hitter. Really works the pitcher very well. There goes Gainey. Changeup tapped toward third. Johnson over to first. Here goes Gainey out at third. Bad base running. Good throw by Hernandez.
Well, you never make the last out at third base. A gamble here not wisely taken. Gainey running here on the ball. Top ball down to third, picked up by Johnson. He fires the first. Now Hernandez with that gun for an arm just cuts Gainey down, trying to go from first to third on the out at first. Double play.
5-3-6. And if looks could kill. 2-1 New York. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Look has been on Hal Lanier's face for about 5 minutes now. It's 1-1 to Strawberry. Misses the forkball. I am telling you. Not a lot of pleasant thoughts going through his mind right now. Popped up left side. Walling makes the catch, fighting that sun. One away. So Strawberry, after a brilliant night last night, is 0 for 4 this afternoon.
And his 8-game hitting streak is in jeopardy. Might even say triple jeopardy. Not going to hit again unless they go into extra innings.
Right. Gary Carter, the batter, he's 1 for 3. Well, we saw Hal Lanier in last night's game after Strawberry's home run. He was not very happy. He wasn't happy after Knight's home run. And now today, Dykstra's reached up and bitten the Astros. A double to score a run in the first, and he doubled in a run in the 7th. It's going to cause wrinkles, Ralph, looking like that.
He's in the wrong business.
Boy, it's frustrating business. Manager of a big league club. Carter fouls it back, 1-2. It's interesting how some of the coaches take on the same demeanor as the manager. You can't laugh if the coach is.
You sure can't.
If the manager's frowning, you better frown.
No fun being on the bench with those managers that don't have a sense of humor.
Fastball outside, 2-2 to Carter.
That manager sets the stage for the whole attitude.
That's right. Well, you remember the harmonica incident back in 1964 with Yogi Berra and Phil Linz.
Phil Linz.
Ground ball to short. There's Reynolds, and he throws out Carter, 2 out. It was after a tough ball game that the Yankees had lost. And Phil Linz was playing the harmonica in the back of the bus, and famous incident now. Yogi went back and said, nobody plays the harmonica when my team loses. Fined him, didn't he? $500 bucks?
I think he sold a harmonica off for more than the fine.
Yeah, Phil made a lot of appearances that year, as a matter of fact, playing the harmonica.
I'll never forget the time he hit it to a triple play while playing for the Mets. Somebody said, what about hitting into the triple play? And he says, anytime you hear 3 roars on 1 ground ball, you know you're in trouble.
Great line. Phil was a very, very nice guy. 2-1 to Danny Heath. Had a good World Series in '64, as a matter of fact, in there for the injured Tony Kubek. Fly ball to center field. Tony Walker under it, and an easy inning for Dave Smith, but it has not been an easy day for the Astros. They trailed 2-1, and they have 3 outs to make up that 1 run. We'll be back. Hit a home run, had that in my mind, failed to read it correctly.
That really is amazing.
Not a lot of runs. He has given up 38 earned runs this year.
Gave up a run in the 9th inning of his last ball game.
Mookie Wilson now in left field for Danny Heath. Wilson has popped up a couple of times and fly deep to center field. Only 3 for 20 against the Mets. He's tied for the National League lead in home runs with Mike Marshall of the Dodgers. Ground ball to short. High hop, good play, Santana. 1 out. It was a high hop, but an unpredictable hop.
Well, the home run leader, Davis, 1 for 8 so far against the Mets in this series, and that a big out for Dwight Gooden.
I'll say. Especially with Kevin Bass coming up, who has singled, homered, and the 1 RBI, the only run of this ball game for Houston. Dave Smith stands to be the losing pitcher unless the Astros can muster a run. Strike 1. Change-up, foul back. 0-2 to Bass. Think you ought to hook Bass right here?
I'd go for the hook here for sure. I'd throw out that sinker. Bass hit a home run off a low fastball his last time up.
Fastball down and in, a deadly area for left-handed swingers. Bass has pulled all 3 balls today, and the Met outfield shading him around toward left field. He has shown that he's going to get around on Gooden.
Single to right center his first time up, grounded out to the first baseman his next time up, and homered to right center his 3rd time up. So he has pulled everything Gooden saw him.
Fastball got him looking. I'll tell you one thing. That would have gotten me looking, too. I would not have been looking heat on that particular pitch.
And it was a pitch that is not necessarily thrown with a 2-strike count. High fastball, not very high, but out in that outside corner. So Bass is hooked.
Hooked with the heater. And Phil Garner is going to be the pinch hitter for Tony Walker. You remember Walker was the pinch runner for Cruz in the 7th. Made that. No, that was Ty Gainey in the 8th. I was going to say Walker made that mistake, but that was Ty Gainey in the 8th inning, going to third base and being thrown out. 1-0 to Garner. 1-0 curveball, 1-1.
Took something off that curveball. Just lollipopped it in there. Garner, of course, the man who put the Houston Ball Club on top in the top of the 10th inning with a 2-run home run in last night's ball game. He thought he had it won.
Fastball outside, 2-1. He hit that home run off Jesse Orozco on a 3-2 pitch. We are told that Dwight Gooden still getting it up there 93 miles an hour. Didn't want to swing, but went too far and fouled it back. 2-2. 2-1 game. 2-2, 2 out, top of the ninth. Disposition is not improved.
It's very even. That's a very even disposition.
Well, Garner walks. That is the 5th walk given up by Dwight Gooden. He has struck out 4, and remember, he has walked more than he struck out only once this year. And Hal Lanier may be wanting a pinch runner. Garner has suffered from leg problems this year. He may be getting somebody up also. So we'll see if Garner's going to be running here. You're less inclined to run if you think you're going to make the last out of the game, right?
Well, he doesn't have any power at the plate. And he doesn't have any power on the bench to speak of. Pankowitz might be a power type consideration.
Mizrock's on deck. Fastball's high to Reynolds. Garner does have 8 stolen bases.
He has been a good base runner.
Oh, yeah, he is. So if his legs are healthy, we'll see if he's running. Not going. Fastball's high. 2-0. Reynolds is 0 for 3. He's grounded to first, flied to right, and popped to second. Frank DiPino, the losing pitcher in last night's game, gave up the 2 home runs in the 10th inning, is up and throwing. Garner dives back. Grounded sharply. What a play, Hernandez. This game's over. Oh, brother. Keith Hernandez on a spectacular play to end the game and give Gooden his 10th victory of the year. Looks like meeting time for the Astros, doesn't it?
Clubhouse meeting, doors closed.
Dwight Gooden now 10-3, the loser Dave Smith. And yet again, another manager who's drinking water when they're not thirsty. The Mets now 54-21. They lead the Montreal Expos by 13 games. The Expos playing tonight in Atlanta. And here's that last play one more time.
Well, this ball is hit very, very hard. Low fastball. Keith Hernandez a diving stop. Keith with a brilliant double play earlier in the ball game, using that glove to turn Houston away. And here is Carter as he sees the play made. Gooden going right out to Hernandez. He was getting ready to cover on the play at first, and he's right into the picture as the Mets win it. And they have won 2 now over Hal Lanier's Houston Astros.
Well, as Carly Simon would say, but not Hal Lanier, nobody does it better. The Mets now 33 over 500. Ralph and I will be back with a wrap-up right after this.
also won the first 2 games against Houston, and Houston started in first place in the Western Division. Of course, the Mets are in first place, the highest position they've held this year, and the Mets coming up with an outstanding performance. Keith Hernandez run batted in the first inning after Dykstra had doubled to put the Mets up 1-0. A home run tied it for Houston as Bass hit one out of the ballpark, and then the Mets got the winning run when Santana walked, was sacrificed to second base, and then with the runner at second base, Dykstra came up with a big base hit, a double off the fence in right field to win it for the Mets by a score of 2-1.
I'll tell you, Ralph, it's unbelievable the way this ball club has played. Everybody talks about how tough it is to play with the big lead. It's the same in a ball game. You get up every morning, you read the paper, you realize you're playing dominating baseball, but the Mets have had the ability, led by Davey Johnson, they've had the ability to go for the throat. They're trying to win this thing as early as they can, and they're playing that type of ball. Every day they're taking separately, 1 game at a time. I mean, they really consider, you know, going out there. They're not looking back and sitting on their laurels. This 75 games, they're 33 over 500 after 75 games. It's amazing.
And they really are playing outstanding baseball, and it's been split right down the ball club. Today it was Dykstra with a great day. Of course, Wally Backman has been doing well. I think the key to the ball club, and it's sort of new type baseball, the 1-2 hitters in the batting order, getting on base, really setting it up for the rest of the ball club.
Dykstra and Backman, of course. Backman had 1 hit today, but Len Dykstra scored 1 run and drove in the game winner.
He had 2 doubles in the ball game. We'll be back and talk a little more about this ball game today in just a moment, right after this message. Dwight Gooden becomes a 10-game winner as he has picked up the victory. A good performance for Dwight. Not spectacular, but also one of those good, consistent jobs that he does all the time.
And he becomes a 10-game winner along with Sid Fernandez, both having won 10.
And once again, the final score, the Mets 2 and the Astros 1.
By the way, Ralph, the Texaco star of the game this afternoon, Len Dykstra. He scored 1 run and drove in the game winner. Remember to stay tuned for the Mets post-game show coming up next with Fran Healy right here on Sports Channel #1 in New York Sports. Happy July the 4th, everybody.
Well, welcome back to Shea Stadium. I'm Fran Healy, and this is the New York Met postgame show. My guest on the New York Met postgame show, a guy who won his 10th victory this year, Dwight Gooden. First, Dwight, let's talk about the past. A few weeks ago, everybody felt your career was over. What was your reaction to that?
Well, it was a weird reaction, and you know, you pick up the paper and you read all this, but I thought it was great. You know, the main thing, the fans not giving up on me, and then my teammates cheering me on, but it just was a little, you know, minor thing I was doing in my delivery, and me and Mel and Davey talked about it a lot, and watched the films on it and worked on the side, and now it's helped.
Well, it was almost like everybody wanted you to be perfect, a perfect pitcher for 20 years. Was that a frustrating thing to you?
Not really. You can't live up to no one standard. You just got to do the things that you're capable of doing and not try to overdo it and try to satisfy the media or the fans, and just got to go out and try to help my team win ball games.
How'd you feel today?
Today I felt great, and the main thing, I had to break the ball over early in the count, and I thought Gary called a great game.
How about the defense, Keith Hernandez?
The defense made some great plays today. You know, they're saving the game right there, and then Wally Backman made a good play, you know, diving play also.
And Keith, you talk about the play that ended the ball game.
Right. Well, the one before, you know, that's the one I was thinking about. When he threw the ball to third and got him, that was a big play right there to get him out the inning, because they had Davis coming up, and then they won the ending game. It was 2-0 on Reynolds, and he made a good play.
Dwight, as a pitcher, when you pitch in a ball game, what runs through your mind about your defense? Can you throw any pitch at any time, figuring if the ball's hit, this is a good defense?
Well, I think we got one of the best defense, and I think underrated defense also, and guys can play well, you know, infield and outfield, and the main thing I try to do is keep the ball down.
Now, talk about your hitting. Today you had to bunt the ball.
Yeah, I had to bunt the ball and walk the first time, and don't walk too much, and, you know, right here was a key bunt, and when I felt behind, you know, with 2 strikes and no balls, the next one I just wanted to put it on the ground, and then it turned out to be a perfect bunt, and it helped.
And Dwight, when you're in a game like this, a close game, are you a better pitcher in a close game than a game in which your ball club gets you a whole lot of runs?
Well, I think so. You like to be hitting with a lot of runs, you know, for that cushion, but, you know, it gives a chance of being too comfortable instead of working on, you know, different pitches and locations. But on a tight ball game, you know, where a double or a home run is going to hurt you.
Last year's Cy Young Award winner, a lot of people feel there's a jinx that goes along with this award, yet you're off to another great start, 10-3. But the guy in the other league is having trouble, Brett Saberhagen. Did that ever run through your mind?
Well, I thought about it, especially like, you know, I thought one Rookie of the Year they said jinx, and then Cy Young they said jinx. But, you know, I don't worry about that. I'm not superstitious. I just go out and keep working hard, you know, year after year.
Did you have any fear whatsoever? I mean, obviously everybody felt Dwight Gooden would be the starting pitcher in the All-Star game. Did you ever doubt that?
Well, coming into the season, I never thought about it, and it's just something that never crossed my mind, even making an All-Star team, and got off to a pretty good start, and it still didn't cross my mind. But then once I start hearing things that why you said I'd be the starter, then I started thinking about it, and it's a great honor and something you can always look back on, not only making a team, but being the starting pitcher.
So you weren't surprised at all?
Well, I was a little surprised being a starting pitcher.
Well, who would you have started if it wasn't going to be Dwight Gooden?
Well, if it wasn't going to be me, I thought maybe Keith Hernandez, who's been throwing the ball great, and he's got the best winning percentage also.
Okay, now Bill Webb is talking to me in this earpiece here, and he tells me we're going to show a strikeout right now. And tell us about this. Alan Ashby's the batter, runner on first and third.
Well, before that, Kid came out and told me he's a great fastball hitter, and he don't like the breaking ball. So I said I want to start him off with the fastball to get ahead in the count, then we'll work with the breaking balls.
You're still very, very young. Do you call your game, or do you rely on a veteran like Gary Carter?
Well, it's kind of a mixture of both, and you know, I feel comfortable with certain pitches. You might think this is the pitch to go with, like a breaking ball. He might be right, but in my mind, I feel a lot comfortable with the fastball, and I'll go with that. But other than that, whatever he puts down, that's what we go with.
My guest has been a guy who won his 10th game today, the best pitcher in all of baseball, Dwight Gooden, and we'll be back with more right after this.
In the air here at Shea and at Yankee Stadium, the fireworks capping off a dynamite day for local baseball fans. It was the first time all season long that both the Mets and Yanks were the home team.
Let me root for the home team.
I hate the Yankees. I hate Steinbrenner. Yeah, hell the Yankees.
To be a Subway Series?
Yes, they will. The Yankees are going to take them in 4.
I don't like the Yankees because I don't like George Steinbrenner.
I always had it in my heart for the Yankees over the Mets from way back.
Liberty for local baseball fans means rooting for one of the home teams while despising the other. And which team have more people cheered on this season? Through 34 home dates, the Mets have drawn 1.23 million fans to Shea. That's an average of 36,000 customers per game. In 40 home dates, 1.11 million have watched the Yankees, an average of nearly 28,000. That is 8,400 per game behind the Mets. The main reason is simple, their record. Before tonight's action, the Mets had won 52 games, lost only 21, and led their division by 11.5 games. The Yankees had won 43, lost 35, and trailed Boston by 8 games. But some elected officials from New Jersey vote for the Yanks as number 1. What about the fact that the Mets have a better record and better attendance this season?
Who are the Mets? I don't know who the Mets are. I know the Yankees are.
A Yankee fan...
Yankees, you know, get themselves back in their fight for their division. You know, they're going to draw well, too. This town is obviously big enough for both clubs.
Is there a lot of talk here at Yankee Stadium about the success of the Mets and the fact that right now they are number 1 in New York?
Well, who said there's number 1?
Well, at least in attendance they are. In attendance.
Well, they might be in attendance. Out here at the stadium, they're not number 1. The Yankees are number 1 out here.
The fireworks that followed tonight's games were spectacular, but nothing compared to fireworks we might see in October in a Subway Series. Tonight, the Mets drew their 5th sellout crowd of the season, a little over nearly 49,000. The Yanks drew a little over 43,000. Now, another reason the Mets are outdrawing the Yanks this year, besides the record, might be the parking situations at the respective stadiums.
Proud enough, strong enough, tough enough, loud enough. We're putting our hearts together, making our best get better. Bring it home, Mets, bring it home, bring it home. This is the year you're gonna see baseball like it ought to be. Bring it home, Mets, TV9, bring it home.
The action heats up when the Mets take on the Houston Astros Sunday afternoon at 1:30.